This time, you probably have the general idea of what it is that you're trying to do in these first assignments about coding. You're trying to make variables and you're trying to print those variables. So there's not much I can tell you about in this one that you don't already know. I think it's straightforward. Let me give you one problem with two different examples that does trip people up. So you're trying to make a character. And let's just say you make a character and you give them a name, and then you look at the sheet, and the next thing on the sheet is to make a class. Now, a class again just means any sort of thing, like, hey, this is an elf ranger, or this is an alien spy, or whatever you want that class to be. But that's not the problem. The problem is over here. The word class, why is that orange? Well, let's ignore it. We run the module and we try to see what happens, and we get invalid syntax. So there's something wrong. And then this comes up, so it's something wrong over here. What's happening is that class is one of a special few keywords that Python has that you cannot use for making variable names. So there are other ones, like you can't use if. If is a word that you need to make if statements, and so you can't use them. So we don't use the word class in this coding class. That's a little bit more advanced. It's called object-oriented programming. And if you get really far in this class, maybe you can get to that. But what you need to know is that you just can't use this word. So if something comes up orange, you have to think of some other way to do it. Perhaps the easiest way is to add something like that to it, where it's easier to remember my class than class. You could also decide to change its spelling. You could also just put a number behind it. So lots of ways to fix that error. So now that you're done with that one, some of the next things it says is that you should make some variables. So for your stats, so how much logic do you have? And how much aim do you have? And how much magic do you have? So maybe you're like me and you're thinking, I just want to abbreviate these 3 letters. And then I get to this one, how much strength do I have? And oh man, now this is purple. Well, let me fix class, but then I'll go ahead and run this. Surely this is going to work anyway. It shouldn't be a problem. Well, it does seem to work. That's partly because I never printed anything. So now let's just see what happens if I say print my strength. I'll assume on these other ones all work. And I run this. And it works. That's not a problem. That's awesome. So I guess this purple thing doesn't matter. You'll notice it's the same color as print. This is kind of a special situation in that you are allowed to use things that turn purple. They're kind of keywords, but they're not keywords that you can use them to do other things. So let's just say, for instance, what if I want a variable named print to equal 10? Will that continue to work? See, now suddenly it's kind of giving some problems because it doesn't know what to do. So the problem isn't that you use the word print. The problem is that then we actually try to use the actual print to do something, and it's saying 10 cannot do what you want it to do, and you just set something to 10. So it does cause problems down the line to use these variables that still are keywords. They're just kind of special keywords. We use string or str to indicate that we want to transform something into a string. So I could say print the string of magic, and what this is saying is convert this number data type integer into a string and then print it. And so it's a way to convert things, and we're going to have to do that soon when we get to input and output. So you don't really want to get in the habit of using str to do something else, because we are going to need it for other parts of our programming. So it's kind of strange how the purple ones are kind of work and the orange ones don't work, but you should try to avoid, anytime you see these come up, to say, oh, I need something else for my variable, I shouldn't use those.